Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Autumn and today I am going to be doing a book haul. There are 3 different places that I purchased the books that we're going to be talking about today. The first place I purchased these books was when I was in Utah. I went to a few little bookstores and I ended up purchasing a couple of books. The next place I went to was Goodwill. I found 6 books at Goodwill, and then the last place I shopped at was Barnes & Noble. I'm going to talk about all of those books here today. One of these Barnes & Noble books was actually a pre-order and it got here today, so it was perfect timing for this video. I am so stoked. So let's go ahead and jump into the books I bought. In Utah, the first book I ended up buying is called Chasing Homer by this author, and I'm not going to even attempt that author's name because it is Hungarian. I am not Hungarian and I know I will butcher it. Look at that cover. The cover is what sold me because it is so creepy. I love it so much and it's a little short read. I cannot wait for it. It had some really bizarre paintings, drawings in here too. Like, what is that? There was a couple of other ones too. That is so weird, and the fact that it has some QR codes in there really had me intrigued. But the synopsis says, in this chase thriller, a hunted being escapes certain death at breakneck speed, cantering through Europe, heading blindly south. Faster and faster, escaping the assassins, our protagonist flies forward, blending into crowds, adjusting to terrains, hopping on and off ferries, always desperately trying to stay one step ahead. I am a prisoner of the instant, and I rush into this instant, an instant that has no continuation, just as it has no earlier version, and I have to tell myself, if I have the time to think about this between 2 instances, that I have no need for either past or future because neither one exists. But in fact, I have no time between 2 instances, since there's no such thing as 2 instances. This just sounds just wild and bananas. It gives me a little bit of like Frankenstein vibes. I have no idea if it is, but I needed this and I bought this out in Utah and I cannot wait to read it. Again, it's pretty short, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through it. The next one that I bought at a used bookstore in Utah was The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. So I have this thing where I like to collect used copies of classic books. I saw this one and I had to get it. This was by far, when I was younger, one of my favorite movies. Oh my gosh, and this has that used book smell. Oh my gosh, it is just... When I purchased this book and the people I was with when I was on vacation, I was holding this up to everybody's face so we could all smell it. And we all know that smell, and it was this smell, and everybody was like, I love that smell. So I got this for my classics shelf. The next 6 books I have up were all purchased from the Goodwill in my hometown. First one I found was American Gods by Neil Gaiman. I have read Neil Gaiman in the past. I haven't read this one though, and I am pretty excited for it. It was funny when I was checking this book out and the lady was scanning the back barcode. She was like, oh wow, this is a pretty thick book. And I was like, yeah girl, I know. I know. I can get the audiobook for this on Libby. That's how I do want to read this book, in tandem read. It says it's an updated and expanded copy with the author's preferred text. I don't really know what that means. It says it is a story of Shadow released from prison just days before his wife and his best friend are killed in an accident, who gets recruited by a bodyguard, driver, and errand boy for the enigmatic, why does that word always trip me up? Trickster, Mr. Wednesday. So begins Shadow's dark and strange road trip, one that introduces him to a host of eccentric characters whose fates are mysteriously intertwined with his own. For beneath the placid surface of everyday life, a storm is brewing, an epic war for the very soul of America, and Shadow is standing squarely on its path. The next one up is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. So I have the leather-bound copy of The Hobbit. This one was so creepy, so 80s, I had to get it. But look at this. I had never seen the cover like that before. That is just wild. So I got that one. Did I need it? Absolutely not. The next one up is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. I have never read this book. I've never seen the Netflix series either, but the cover looked cool and the synopsis sounded pretty freaking bizarre. But it says, first published in 1959, Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House has been hailed as a perfect work of unnerving terror. It is a story of four seekers who arrive at a notorious unfriendly pile called Hill House. Is it Dr. Montague? Maybe? An occult scholar looking for solid evidence of a haunting, Theodora, his lighthearted assistant, Eleanor, a friendless, fragile young woman well acquainted with poltergeist, and Luke, future heir of Hill House. At first, their stay seems destined to be merely a chilling encounter with inexplicable phenomena, but Hill House is gathering its powers, and soon it will choose one of them to make its own. Wild. I can't wait. This is going on my classics bookshelf. Whether it's like actually considered a classic or not, it's gonna go over there. The next one up is The Black Stallion Mystery by Walter Farley. This was one of my all-time favorite movies as a child. I would watch this on VHS, rewind it, watch it, rewind, and rewatch it again. I was that weird kid. And I saw this at Goodwill and I had to have it. Two more. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Got this one because it was a classic. I've actually never read The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've heard that it's controversial. I'll be totally honest, I don't quite know what is controversial about it because I don't really know what the story is about. So this was one I will put on my shelf as a classic. It would be something I would like to read eventually just to understand what people are talking about. But this is the other one I got. Oh my gosh, this last book I found at Goodwill, you guys, it about brought me into tears. So this book was one of my all-time favorite books in elementary school. And when I found this on the shelf, I about fell over. I pulled the book from the shelf. I opened the book. Inside the book, it is stamped with my old elementary school. Which means this could be the same copy I read 20 years ago. The book I'm talking about is Blood on the River by Elissa Carbone. To say I was shaking in Goodwill is an understatement. I had to get this book because of the memories I have while thinking about this book. I'll be totally honest, I don't remember a whole heck of a lot about this book, but I remember how I felt, some of the things that I was doing around the time I was reading this book as a wee child. I got it for that and the fact that my old elementary school is stamped in this book. Are you kidding? I had to get it. Is it the same copy I read 20 years ago? I mean, probably not. There was probably several copies of it, but who knows? But it's mine now. Now I get to the fun stuff that I bought at Barnes & Noble. Of course, I went to Barnes & Noble to get one book and it came out with 5. The one book I had to get was for a buddy read. My friend and I are reading all of Tolkien's work together. We are currently reading Beren and Luthien by Tolkien. This is the next book that her and I are reading in our Tolkien journey. So we have read The Lord of the Rings, all 3 of those books in that trilogy. We've read The Hobbit, we've read The Silmarillion, and now we are reading Beren and Luthien, and I cannot wait. I almost panicked because I couldn't find this book at Barnes & Noble at first. There was one copy left and it was like shoved in the corner, but you best believe my nose was gonna sniff it out. And here it is. The next one up is The Mystery Guest by Nita Prose. This is the second book in a duology. The first book is called The Maid, and I absolutely loved it. I have kind of heard mixed things about The Mystery Guest, but I found it at Barnes & Noble and I figured I would go ahead and get it. I won't read the synopsis of this since it is book 2 in a duology, but just know that the first book is The Maid and I read that. I absolutely adored it. I believe I had given it 5 stars. It was one of my favorite books that I read at the end of last year. This will be a book I will now get to since I own it. It's funny because I didn't know that this was supposed to be a duology until my mom told me about it being a duology. She is going to be very excited to know that I got this book for her and I to read together because her and I read The Maid together. I will give this book to her for her to read first and then I'll read it, and that's how we buddy read books. The next one up is The Night Ship by Jess kid. This was one I had never heard before. It said that it was based on a true story of a wreck of the Batavia. I believe that's how you pronounce the name of this ship. And it is a story that takes place in 2 different timelines, and I was so freaking sold. So it says 1 shipwreck, 2 misfits, 3 centuries apart. In 1629, a newly orphaned girl named Macon is bound for the Dutch East Indies on the Batavia, one of the greatest ships of the Dutch Golden Age. Curious and mysterious, Macon spends the long journey going on misadventures above and below deck, searching for a mythical monster, but the true monsters might be closer than she thinks. In 1989, after the death of his mother, a lonely boy named Gil is sent to live with his grandfather, a taciturn fisherman off the coast of Western Australia, among the members of the seasonal fishing community where his late mother once lived as a child. There, on the tiny reef-shrouded island, he discovers the story of an infamous shipwreck. The night ship is an enthralling tale of human brutality, providence, and friendship, and of 2 children hundreds of years apart whose fates are inextricably bound together. The cover of this is really what grabbed my attention. Probably one of the most beautiful covers I feel like I have ever seen. And when I started reading and I saw that it was based off of a true story with the ship, I was like, sold. The next book up is Ashes of the Sun by Django Wexler. I have not really seen too many people talk about this book, but maybe I'm just outside of the community and I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about it. It looked phenomenal. I know that it looks like it's the start of a series, which I have absolutely no reason to be starting a series, but you know, here we are. So it says, not even the ties of blood will keep them from splitting the world in 2, surrounded by the relics of a dead empire. 2 siblings, one who wields magic for the empire and the other who has vowed to bring it all down, will battle for the fate of their world in the first book in this epic new fantasy trilogy by best-selling author Django Wexler. A huge reason as to why this sounded super intriguing to me, it sounds like something I can pull inspiration from, because I am writing a story about 2 siblings that are kind of on opposite sides of a war, and this gave me very similar vibes to the story that I'm writing. One, this just sounds absolutely amazing, and I want to read it, so here it is. I bought it. The last book up, this is quite funny, but it is Vow of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I just finished reading Dance of Thieves. In that video that I read this book for, I wasn't quite sure when I was gonna be buying this next book to continue on with the series. It's just a duology, so it'll be this book and be finished. It actually looks like she's got spin-offs. I'm looking at the back of this now. Anyways, focus on them. So I won't read the synopsis of this since it is book 2 in a series. We were just browsing and I stumbled across this book and I was like, well, since I'm here, I might as well go ahead and get the second book in the series because I've already read the first one and I really enjoyed it. Now I have the second book that I can go ahead and have on my shelves and I'll be able to get to it quicker than I would have. The last book up is the book I pre-ordered. I actually have to read it for the month of May. And we're in May right now, so yay! So this book is The Return of Ellie Black by Amiko Jean. Oh my god. It's even more beautiful in person. Wow. This is a stunning cover. So I've read the full synopsis in one of my previous videos, but it says, the little synopsis at the top says, a missing girl returns, but that isn't the end of the story. It's only the beginning. Oh, this looks so good. This just came out May of 2024. My friend recommended it to me and I was like, sold girl. Within 30 minutes, I had pre-ordered this book. Hi friends, I am quickly sneaking in here to say that as I was editing this video, I ended up getting a few more books that I wanted to talk to you guys about. So I purchased all 7 of these books on Pango and they were all half off. I know, I was shooketh just as much as you were, considering these were all hardcovers and I don't regret any of these purchases. We're gonna go ahead and open up this box and get started. Okay, this box was really closed up tight. There was no book falling out of this and nothing was certainly getting in. So the first book up that I got from Pango, I am so freaking excited for. I've wanted to read this book for forever, but I've really wanted the hardback, and everywhere I went, I was only finding the paperback, but on Pango, this person was giving away the hardcover. It is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. After receiving a frantic letter from her newlywed cousin, Naomi Taboada heads to High Place, a distant house in the Mexican countryside, unsure what she'll find. Naomi is an unlikely rescuer. She is a glamorous debutante, more suited for cocktail parties than amateur sleuthing, but she's also tough, smart, and not afraid. Not of her cousin's new English husband, a stranger who is both menacing and alluring. Not of his father, the ancient patriarch who seems fascinated by Naomi, and not even the house itself, which begins to invade Naomi's dreams with visions of blood and doom. Naomi's only ally in this inhospitable place is the family's youngest son, but he too may be hiding something dark, for there are many secrets behind the walls of High Place, as Naomi discovers when she begins to unearth stories of violence and madness. Mesmerized by this terrifying yet seductive world, Naomi may soon find it impossible to save her cousin or to even escape the enigmatic house. I finally own this book, and I have wanted to own it for so long. I cannot wait to read it. Next one up is, I believe, a thriller, but it's called No Exit by Taylor Adams. A determined young woman must unmask and outwit a vicious psychopath in this tense and clever tale of suspense. On her way to Utah to see her dying mother, college student Darby Thorne gets caught in a vicious blizzard in the Colorado Rockies. With the road impassable, she's forced to wait out the storm at a remote highway rest stop with no cell phone service. Inside are some vending machines, a coffee maker, and 4 complete strangers. Desperate to find a signal to call home, the exhausted young art student goes back out into the storm and makes a horrifying discovery. In the back of a van parked next to her car is a little girl locked in an animal crate. Who is the child? Why has she been taken? And how can Darby save her? There is no way to call for help and no way out. One of her fellow travelers is a kidnapper, but which one? Trapped in an increasingly dangerous situation on the edge of civilization with a child's life and her own on the line, Darby must find a way to break the girl out of the van and escape. But who can she trust? This sounds really freaking good, and I do love a solid isolation trope, so that was why I got it. I also really enjoyed the cover, and hopefully I'll get to reading this one soon. The next one up is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I have not read any books from R.F. Kuang. I do own the Poppy War, just the first book, but I wanted to get this one because it looks like it was in excellent condition, and it is in excellent condition. It's a hardback, which we love to see. The only thing that makes me nervous about it is that it is a school setting, and if you know anything about me, you know that school settings and myself have a little bit of a hot and cold relationship. I get a little nervous about school settings just because they never hit the mark for me, but it's R.F. Kuang. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this author, and I really think that I will love this story. So it says 1828, Robin Swift, orphaned by cholera in Canton, is brought to London by the mysterious Professor Lovell. There, Robin trains for years in Latin, ancient Greek, and Chinese, all in preparation for the day he'll enroll in Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, also known as Babel. The tower and its students are the world's center of translation and, more importantly, magic. Silverworking, the art of manifesting the meaning lost in translation using enchanted silver bars, has made the British unparalleled in power as the arcane craft serves the empire's quest for colonization. For Robin, Oxford is a utopia dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge, but knowledge obeys power, and as a Chinese boy raised in Britain, he realizes serving Babel means betraying his motherland. As his studies progress, Robin finds himself caught between Babel and the shadowy Hermes Society, an organization dedicated to stopping imperial expansion. When Britain pursues an unjust war with China over silver and opium, Robin must decide, can powerful institutions be changed from within, or does revolution always require violence? Babel by R.F. Kuang. I own it now. Oh, this one's got little tabs in it. Oh, I'm so excited. So the next one up is The Stranger Upstairs by Lisa M. Matlin. Oh gosh, there's even like stickers. There are stickers in here. I don't know if the person who gave these to me knew that the stickers were in here, but honey, they're mine now. These are all really, really cute, which is absolutely perfect. This one's my favorite. And then the last one. But anyway, so this one is a thriller, I believe. Let's see, it says most people wouldn't buy an infamous murder house to renovate for fun, but Sarah Slade is not like most people. A therapist and self-help writer with all the answers, Sarah has just bought a gorgeous Victorian in the community of her dreams. Turns out you can get a killer deal on a house where someone was murdered. Plus, renovating a Blackwood house makes for great blog content and a potential distraction from her failing marriage. Good thing nobody knows that Sarah's past is as tainted as the blood stain on her bedroom floor. But the renovations are fast becoming a nightmare. Sarah imagined custom avocado wallpaper, massive profits, and an appreciative husband who would want to share her bed again. Instead, the neighbors hate her guts and her husband still sleeps on the couch. And though the builders attempt to cover up Blackwood's horrifying past, a series of bizarre accidents, threatening notes, and unexplained footsteps in the attic can only confirm for Sarah what the rest of the town already knows. Something is very wrong in that house. With every passing moment, Sarah's life spirals further out of control, and with it her sense of reality. But as she peels back the curling wallpaper and discovers the house's secrets, she realizes that the deadly legacy of Blackwood House has only just begun. I love this cover too, and the fact that it had 4 stickers in there. I'm so very excited. Next we have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. It says, Kira Navarez dreamed of life on new worlds. Now she's awakened to a nightmare. During a routine survey mission on an uncolonized planet, Kira finds an alien relic. At first she's delighted, but elation turns to horror when the ancient dust around her begins to move. As war erupts among the stars, Kara is launched into a galaxy-spinning odyssey of discovery and transformation. First contact isn't at all what she imagined, and events push her to the very limits of what it means to be human. While Kira faces her own horrors, Earth and its colonies stand upon the brink of annihilation. Now Kira must be humanity's greatest and final hope. It's a lot chunkier than I thought it was gonna be, but I mean, I'm not complaining. The next one I have is Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I have read all of Shadow and Bone. I haven't read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom or King of Scars, but this is the last book, so I got this one because this is the only one I don't own. When I saw that it was 50% off, I knew I had to absolutely get it. But this is a different spin-off series that is in the world of the Grishaverse, which is Shadow and Bone is the original series, and so this is the second book in one of the spin-off series. I won't read the synopsis. I don't even want to look at it because this is the final book. The next book up that I'm excited to talk about is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. When I told my friend that I saw this book that was half off and it was the hardback, she was like, girl, you have absolutely 110% have to get this book. And I did, but I had already purchased it. She was very excited to know that I had already purchased it and it was on the way. The synopsis says 18-year-old Donis Fonte has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe reservation. She dreams of a fresh start at college, but when family tragedy strikes, Donis puts her future on hold to look after her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, a charming new recruit on her brother Levi's hockey team. Yet even as Donis falls for Jamie, she senses the dashing hockey star is hiding something. Everything comes to light when Donis witnesses a shocking murder, thrusting her into an FBI investigation of a lethal new drug. Reluctantly, Donis agrees to go undercover, drawing on her knowledge of chemistry history and Ojibwe traditional medicine to track down the source. But the search for truth is more complicated than Donis imagined, exposing secrets and old scars. At the same time, she grows concerned with an investigation that seems more focused on punishing the offenders than protecting the victims. Now, as the deceptions and death keep growing, Donis must learn what it means to be a strong Ojibwe woman and how far she'll go for her community, even if it tears apart the only world she's ever known. Firekeeper's Daughter is an electrifying thriller layered with rich exploration of the modern Native experience, a reckoning of current and historical injustices, and a powerful celebration of community. Those are the 7 books that I ended up getting from Pango after I filmed this video originally. I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to my old self so we can go ahead and wrap up this video. So those are all of the books that I have purchased recently. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have ever heard of any of these books before, if you've read any of them, if they're on your TBR. Let me know how you're feeling about these books. But if you're still here and you don't know what else to say, leave me the little, is there a dandelion emoji? If there's no dandelion, leave me the little pink flower emoji down below in the comments. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Autumn and I will see you in the next one. Bye.